Record.
This guy is all about shaving heads and not points. It's the Shave Heads Not Points podcast with your host, PJ Davis.
What's up, everybody? I think y'all can hear me okay. I hope you can. Anyway, got Coach Josh Runda in the building today. He is the defensive coordinator and linebackers coach at Bluffton University up there in Ohio. Coach, thanks for coming on with us today. I'm sure it's pretty chilly up there.
It is. It's today was not too bad. The sun was out. First off, appreciate you having me on. But weather-wise, it's I would say unseasonably warm here. Hoping that it stays that way because we got quote unquote spring football coming up here in February.
Yeah, perfect. So, Coach, kind of give us your background. Give us the rundown on how you got to Bluffton and high school through there.
Yeah. So I am originally from Lima, Ohio, about 20 minutes from Bluffton. Out of high school, decided to go and continue playing football at Bluffton, Division III school, right in Northwest Ohio. Really had a great experience with it. Enjoyed it. Knew that the NFL was certainly not in my future. I don't know how many.
Just like me.
Not many 5'11", slow-footed Mike linebackers running around undersized there in the NFL. So got into coaching, which is the next best thing for sure. Got an opportunity to be a graduate assistant at Bluffton, but it was actually under a different head coach than what I had played for. And so GA'd here for 2 years. From there, went on, interned a season at Ohio Wesleyan, close to the Columbus area. Intern there, coached the D-line, worked some special team stuff. Actually lived in the football stadium during that job, so that was made for a quick commute to work.
So where did you live in the stadium?
They had dorms, so there was dorms that had been built in what is known as Selby Stadium. So it's right off I-23 as you're heading into Columbus, Ohio. Ginormous stadium,
Okay.
Nice, but I wouldn't say that the living quarters was the Ritz-Carlton or anything. So
we're not adequate.
No. No. Hey, all I need is a roof over my head, enough to pay the bills. And if I get the opportunity to coach football, then a lot of us know what you're getting into, and you're certainly not doing it for the money. So from there, I went on, coached a year at the University of Indianapolis Division II program. Got to be a part of a really great program, learned under Coach Bart there, who has since retired, and Coach Keevers, who was his longtime defensive coordinator, is now a head coach. We went undefeated, 11-0 season, went into the playoffs, and so that was a great experience, but was still really a graduate assistant / intern role there.
Okay.
And so finally, year 5, I landed my first full-time job opportunity, and then was able to come to Bluffton, and actually came to Bluffton as just a position coach, and got probably the quickest able to come to Bluffton. Yes, and Bluffton is just a position. Yeah, came as just. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry, I was trying to pull up the live thing to make sure it was working right, and then I was hearing you on the live thing, but then you paused, so it was all screwed up. Sorry about that. I was trying to make sure it was working.
No, you're good. And so came as just a position coach to Bluffton, and got one of the probably quickest promotions ever. The defensive coordinator left within 2 weeks of me getting there. Had a conversation with our head football coach, and it was again a different guy than who I had played for and even GA'd under at this point in time. And for whatever reason, he gave me a shot at being the defensive coordinator. And so kind of hit the ground running, started to put the playbook together, and off to the races.
That's perfect. So you are, I've watched, our buddy Nick Banstra had you on. And so kind of tell us what y'all's base is, because I know you're a base 4.25 is what you've said before, alluded to on his channel, but it's a lot of odd front that y'all can get into with your 3 high safety look. So first of all, how did y'all even get to kind of running the way that you're running things now?
Yeah. And so I had gone from the University of Indianapolis. I had taken a full-time job at Wilmington College. And so the DC there wanted to not necessarily overhaul what they were doing defensively, but wanted to look at some different stuff.
Okay.
And so a lot of, where people were going at that point in time for the 3 high stuff was Iowa State, and had a connection out there. So went out, we talked some ball with them. I spent the spring at Wilmington and then actually left before the season got going to come back to Bluffton. And so when I was able to take over the defense here at Bluffton, I knew that I wanted to incorporate the 3 high safety stuff, but I still wanted to base out of the 4-2-5. We were a 4-2-5 team at UIndy, University of Indianapolis, and I just really liked the way that the DC there fit the run out of the cover 2 stuff. So I wanted that to be our base, but I wanted to be a little bit different, and so started to incorporate the 3 high stuff, and have tried to tie and mesh as much of it as we can with our 4-2-5 stuff, just from a simplicity standpoint. I mean, we get our average ACT, average GPA. We're not a super high academic school, and so trying to keep things as simplistic as we can. We go in knowing that we're probably going to have to play some young guys on a year in and year out basis, and so keep it simple. Let those guys play fast, and luckily we get some very talented football players at Bluffton, and have the ability, as long as we can put them in the right spot coaching wise, man, you have a shot. So
that's right. That's the name of the game.
No doubt.
So I know you got a presentation for us today. And I think the biggest thing that I pulled out of this was right at the beginning, the way that y'all teach your run fits, and it's not overcomplicated. When you look at it, if you're just looking at it on film and you don't know what you guys are doing, you can kind of look at it and go, oh my gosh, what are they doing? Like, I got no clue. But it's so simple. The way that you guys teach it, and your scheme for this is going to be our run fit here, this is going to be our run fit there, and this is going to be how we're going to play this coverage against this formation, and so on and so forth. So, if you want to go ahead and start your presentation, be my guest.
Yeah, let me
make sure this works.
Yeah.
Hold up.
Oh, did that share the right screen?
There we go. Yep. Looks good.
So and getting into what you're alluding to, we want to be fairly simplistic, and hopefully we're giving enough looks up front that it's not complicated for our guys to learn and to understand. But from the offensive standpoint, you're providing multiple looks out of what to us is really the same front and the same call. And I think that's helped us. And then guys buying in. I mean, our players buy into what we're doing schematically, and they watch a lot of film and they ask a lot of questions. And so, as coaches, we're nothing without our players. And so I think those guys have done a good job in buying in and what we're trying to get out of the scheme. And so I was going to, as long as you're good with it, we're going to talk through 10 personnel. I know you wanted to talk a little bit 11, some 20, 2-back stuff. I've got some 12 personnel stuff in here, did some pro, and I got one other. I think I got one other alignment on there, but just go through some alignments and some different run fits and how we're doing stuff.
Absolutely. Go ahead. It's all yours. The floor is yours, man.
So
I love y'all's uniforms, by the way, man. That purple and gray and white, that's some good looking stuff. Sorry, I'm gonna shut up.
We've come a long way from where we were when I was wearing that jersey. We were all Russell Athletic.
Yes.
So
it did not stretch either, because we had them too, and it did not give.
It hung down to the jerseys hung down to your knees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, even when they tried to go to like that shortcut, tight fit, you couldn't get it off.
Yeah.
I mean, it was worse than these Nike jerseys, because that mesh, it went to a certain point and then it stopped. It did not give. you know. So
Snug.
yeah, it was way too snug for me. It was either way too snug or it was a freaking dress.
Yeah. So we're lucky. We're Nike head to toe now.
Good.
Living the good life over here, I guess.
Uh-huh.
So starting with our base stuff, when we're defending 10 personnel, we get into a lot of the 4-eye 0, 4-eye front. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily our base call, but I think it is what we've predominantly gotten into here, and just being able to be even to the formation and hopefully take away some of the RPO stuff that we're starting to, that we see a decent amount of, and trying to dictate, who's going to have the football for the offense. And so when you're looking at, run pass option stuff, first and foremost, who do you want to have the ball in their hands? And so how do we dictate his read to make sure that we get the ball in the hands of the guy that we want it? And so we'll play the 4-eye 0, 4-eye stuff to it. When we do that, we play our Mike in a 0 and play him A to A off of that nose guard, and really just trying to take away the A's and the B gaps with our end, our nose, our end, and our Mike. And then what we've typically done with that then is just apex to the true 2x2 open stuff here is apex those outside linebackers. We use a Will, and for this guy, we still call him our Sam linebacker. I know, people got all sorts of different names for him. We still call him our Sam. We'll apex him. Our star, which is really that middle safety for us, we play him from a range of yardage. I mean, we've started guys at 8 yards, moved them back to 9. If they're comfortable playing at 10, we'll play them at 10. It's dependent on this guy, really what's his ability and where is he able to put himself in a position to see everything that he needs to see, and where can he fit and make sure that he's good with his reads. And so played him at 10. Our strong safety is really our field safety. We play with a strong and a boundary safety. And then our corners are typically in an off position, normally anywhere from 5 to 7 yards, depending on ability for those guys down in distance, and some different things there. But getting back to dictating, some of that RPO stuff for us, it's, who do we want the ball? Who do we want to have the football? And then how do we make that happen? And so we've come up with a terminology, again, trying to keep it simple: hold and fold players, right? And so the easiest way to look at it is, if I'm the linebacker that's opposite the running back, I know traditionally that I'm going to be that fold player. If I'm the linebacker that is to the running back side, which means more than likely I'm going to be the linebacker that they read, then I'm going to be really that hold player. And so if we're doing it and we're playing it that way, to me it says, okay, we want the football in the running back's hands, right? Because we're telling the quarterback that we're going to stay 3 for 2 by holding that read guy. We're going to stay 3 for 2 to whether it's the bubble or the stick route, whatever it may be, to his read side. We're going to make him give that football. And so we feel good about that because we can fold then, right, that linebacker that's opposite.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times he becomes, if this thing ends up hitting all the way back to the front side, he becomes the tackler. If not, we'll play that ball inside out with the star, and the star is really playing inside out to quarterback. If the quarterback does keep it to that front side C, then he's going to fit off of that end and be there to be the quarterback player. And so I think you can do some different things with this if we want, right? If we want to make the quarterback make a decision, or we want to make him make a throw, you take this Sam and right at the snap, you fold him in.
Yeah.
And now you go and you replace with the star. And so you still get your 3 for 2 to the bubble, to the stick stuff, but you've given the quarterback now a different read. And so trying to dictate some of that stuff for them, just depending on a game plan.
What kind of player are you looking for in that star player? As far as mentally and physically, what kind of player do you pull from your defense and say, you're going to be my guy?
Yeah. The first year we ran this, it was a freshman that was a little bit of a hybrid, probably too big to play safety, not big enough yet to play in the box at linebacker. Was actually from Georgia, came from a really good high school, good football player. Ended up being all conference that year. And then this past season was more of a slender bodied kid for us that was, progressing into being a will linebacker in our defense. So a guy that's still got to be able to run. And so when I look at it overall, I mean, it's just your guy. And I think if I was at the high school level, I'd put it, as simple as it would be our best football player, your best athlete. I mean, usually who that kid is walking your hallways.
Right.
But it's just got a knack for the football. And I don't overcoach this position because, again, it's an instinctual thing to some degree. I mean, does he have a fit in everything that we're doing? Yes. He does have a gap in everything that we're doing. Yes. But I don't want to take away that kid's ability. And so for us, it's been really that safety to linebacker hybrid body type, athletic, got to be able to run sideline to sideline because we're a spill fit team. And so we're always fitting the ball on the outside and hoping that guy's going to track some stuff down. But he can't be afraid. Every once in a while, he's going to have to stick his nose in the B gap. And so the progression for us would be like, if that was early on, that's an undersized linebacker that maybe progresses into becoming in our defense our will, and then that star becomes another one of those young guys that you're trying to get on the football field, athletic, and can run. So that's who it's been for us. Positionally, he goes in my room, and I coach the linebackers, so he'll go with the linebackers on a lot of stuff. But if there's some coverage stuff that the DBs are maybe working one day, maybe it's a catch man drill or something that I think he can be, better coached. He's going to be better off going with the DB coach than I'll send him down to the DBs for a period or two to get some of their individual in. It's really its own position within kind of what we're doing here. I don't know what's the lag going to look like, I guess, on the film.
It's looked pretty smooth so far.
Okay.
I'm gonna, we'll have to see what it does, but I think it's been okay so far.
Well, if it starts giving you problems, I got slides on here. We can go through slides. But I'll try and share some.
I'm gonna pull it up on the. It looks good from my end right now.
Yep.
I'm gonna pull it up on the YouTube link. So, feel free to go ahead. I think it's pretty smooth.
Okay. And so this would be us defending some 10 personnel stuff out of the 4-eye, 0-4-eye stuff. Mike linebacker in this instance, our Sam who travels to the field, Will linebacker in this instance, the star for us. And our star, you'll notice he plays in a more traditional linebacker stance than a true safety stance for us, just because he is within what we're doing schematically more of a run fitter. And so he's reading the triangle, guard, center, guard, back to the backfield. And so we've played him really in that squared up, more traditional linebacker stance. But you'll see here, hold and fold is really already declared pre-snap because the back opposite, right, of the Sam. So the Sam knows that if he gets run action and he's reading through the tackle here, if he gets run action from the tackle, he's folding into the C gap. That Will should hold until he knows the ball's given, and then he can go ahead and get himself involved in some late cutback action. Oh, we get a pretty good look here, forcing the running back all the way back. It's a good look, good picture from the tight.
Okay.
4-eye wise, we play eyes to the guard, hands to the tackle, just as far as what those guys are reading up front. And so good job, not bad here. Could probably use his hands a little bit better. But fitting here, A to A with the nose and the mic. Our nose plays what a lot of people would call, that lag technique.
Okay.
I almost call it a get reach technique. We still want to get hands to the center, but we want to play on the back side of that center. And so that's what we're getting here. Good job. Mike's going to go ahead and fit now to the A gap. That N, 4 eyes playing the B. You can see the Sam here folding in. And then this is a pretty good path really by our star here playing everything inside out. We force that ball all the way back, and we end up getting a bunch of jerseys to the football. So you can – our Will is a little quick on this, but I think he sees the ball given. The other thing was we knew that 4 he rarely kept the ball on any of their inside zone stuff.
Right.
And so we were folding that guy in. That running back was the best one in the conference. So we our guys were pretty zoned in on him in that picture.
I love that beaver logo, man. That's a fierce looking beaver.
Yeah, intimidating. You should Google some of the 1980s images of that thing, man. It was a little different looking. The PR department's done their work. They did a good job. So this is another look at it. I like this one because you get a great picture of the hold action here by the Will of just pounding his feet, being nice and patient, still seeing that the ball's in the belly of the running back, so he's in no hurry, right? If we wanted to, again, we could, dive him in if we wanted to put the football in this guy's hands or make the quarterback make that decision. But again, banking on, right, offensively, you're not typically going to count this apex linebacker within your count as far as the zone blocking scheme stuff. So fold him in, he becomes the unblocked man and ends up making a nice play.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been good. I mean, we like the 3 high. Obviously, when you talk with people, hey, what do you like that against? You obviously like it against spread looks, 10 personnel teams. And it has. It's been good to some 10 personnel stuff, but we've been able to, use it against really all personnels. And so we try and go in every game plan where we're playing our 4-2-5 stuff to really every look that we're going to get. And then we're also going to have some, 3 high safety calls to those same looks just so that hopefully, as an offense, when you're game planning against us, you've got to really prepare for both defensive schemes.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a lot. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and you and I talked about this. Do you think that this is going to become more of a trend in the high school defensive community, I guess, if you want to call it that? But
I haven't coached at the high school level, so speaking on it, I know that I've gotten a lot of interest from high school coaches as far as reaching out, which has been awesome. Been able to connect with coaches all over the place. You mentioned Coach Banstra early on, and I was fortunate in being in Coach Banstra's area as far as where he lives, and he got me on early on, and that YouTube video has been able to connect me with coaches all over the place. It has been neat, and then guys like you and doing this and just providing platforms, man. It's been neat to be able to talk football. We talked about it. All these guys that are having such a willingness to share information and what they're doing and, the why of things and all of this different stuff. I think probably early on people were a little hesitant, and then you've just seen it grow and blow up and coaches from all over the place talking a whole bunch of football. And so I've gotten a decent amount of interest. I think it's, when I look at it, and I've got it lined up to Flexbone later on in this, just because I had a coach reach out and he asked, what would your alignments to the Flexbone stuff be out of this 3 high safety deal? And so if you're a program where you're struggling to find 4 good defensive linemen, I think this is something that you can get into if you've got more athletes in your program and be able to go ahead and manipulate some fronts, be able to adjust some things. If you still want to get into some 4-man stuff, I think you can. It's simple to get into the bear front out of this deal. And so I think you can be very multiple with it, but just a way to get your best athletes on the field at the end of the day.
Yes. Absolutely. I noticed I was looking at this and I realized that the guy I've been talking to for 2 days that we recorded separately, I had the wrong freaking name on here. So I'm going to have to make sure I edit that after this video's over and put it in there because people are thinking that we're watching RPOs and quarterback play.
I gotcha. Hey, we talked a little RPO. I wouldn't be as good. I wouldn't be very good talking about that stuff probably.
I didn't know. I looked at it and I said, wait a minute. His name's not Josh Lindke. Josh Lindke was the guy I talked to the past 2 days.
Yeah. From he's up in Toledo. He's only an hour from us.
Yeah. So he and I talked. We actually did a part 1 and a part 2 that I'm gonna. We didn't get to go live with it, so we're gonna go. I'm gonna put that up next weekend. But he had some cool quarterback footwork and things like that for me. But
yeah, he's a great coach up in the Toledo area.
Yes, I'm gonna refresh this and make sure it works right. It'll fix it. I know.
Yep.
Keep going, Coach. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. So here's another, where we're playing the 4-I stuff. Good job here by the star, just tracking the football. And again, this is that whole playing everything inside out at this position, not overcoaching him necessarily, but allowing him to be in a position now. This guy gets tripped up by the end, but still being in a good position there as a star to be able to clean some stuff up.
Your guys do a great job of their run fits and running to the football, and your Mike making sure that he makes the nose right.
Yes,
so to speak.
And I'll tell you what, this kid that's playing Mike in this video, man, he made me a better football coach. Just as smart as can be, and was a kid that loved to ask the why of things, and so he wanted to. He's very analytical, but he wanted to know the why because he wanted to understand everything that we were doing. And there's clips on here where we wouldn't be even close to being aligned right had 19 not been in the middle of our defense.
Yeah,
he's pulling guys, in different directions and getting them lined up, and just you got a kid like that right in the middle of your defense that can do it. He was a very valuable senior for us.
I'm sure you'll miss him.
Yes, no doubt. So looking at here's another front that we'll do out of that. And so we play all of the same rules, but as I go to the tight,
okay,
rather than playing, always getting into this look and always playing 4-I-0, 4-I, we wanted to have a little bit of a change up. So as they go into motion, you'll get the same picture. But with this front here, we were playing a true 3 technique. We were playing a shade, and then we were playing a head up 4 with our end. And so I believe the week previous to this, we had shown a lot of the 4-I-0, 4-I stuff and had really liked it, but wanted to give just another variation of it. And so we said, well, let's, conceptually, let's do all of the same stuff, but up front, let's give them a completely different look.
Okay.
And so now we were just already dictating where the nose was going to go by shading them over. Now the Mike knew, all right, I'm fitting the open A. The 3 technique was playing the B gap, and then we were diving this 4 right into the B right off of the snap. And so structurally, everything was the same rules, but just a different variation of really the same defensive front.
Coaches, I'm going to ask if you're watching live. Thank you so much for being here. We're with not Coach Lindke, if that's what it still says. We're with Josh Runda, who's the defensive coordinator at Bluffton University. We're talking 3-high safety. We're not talking RPOs. Sorry. That video will be up next week. I talked with Coach Lindke the past couple of days. I just screwed up on the title, got the Joshes mixed up. So if you wouldn't mind, while you're here, just subscribe to the channel, leave your name and where you're from in the chat. That'd be awesome. And keep watching the 3-high safety podcast of the day, video of the day, whatever we want to call it.
So getting into some 11 personnel fit stuff, and 11, we treat that sniffer really based off of position. And so some of this stuff can look like right? 20 personnel by the alignment, depending on how they're aligning that guy. But when we're looking at fitting true 11 personnel for us, more than likely we're going to be in a 5-0-5 front for us up front.
Okay.
We're going to play really a 3-2 box now and 30 up, both of those linebackers. We're still going to use the star in the run fit, still reading really the triangle of guard, center, guard back to the mesh point. And then we use that boundary safety. So I know I didn't talk about it in the 10 personnel stuff. We really base coverage wise out of some split field coverage stuff. So we're playing cover 2, we're playing cover 4. And so when we get that tight end involved from the offense, then typically we're going to involve and get our boundary safety at some point into the run fit.
Okay.
And so if you were just looking true split zone fits up front, again, we spill everything. So if you're getting that wham block coming across from the tight end, that would be a spill fit. The star would be reading off of the triangle, but seeing the Y across, knowing that he's inside out of everything, but his true gap fit is off of the spill of the end. The Mike linebacker is fitting off of his guard read. This goes back to what you were saying a little bit earlier. You know, these guys play fast because we keep their reads simplistic, and so they're reading off of the guards, and it's as simple as the direction that the guard's stepping for our guys. So in this picture, you know, if he steps to the nose, we would count that as this guy stepping down. So our Mike is going to scream right off of the hip of that guard and get himself into the B gap. The nose playing that lag technique, the Will reading off of his guard. And this concept here, depending on where this guy steps, that might change the fit of the boundary safety, because if this guy steps down first and then climbs, that's going to put the Will into the B gap, and that would put the boundary safety now into the A gap, fitting that open gap side here to the Will side. So he's got to be a ball player to some degree and be able to play off of that Will. But if this guy gets stepped out, then it's going to be true to the fit, Will fitting into the A, boundary safety fitting into the B, with the end being really that force C gap defender.
Okay.
And so I think I got a couple of clips on here. And our ends, if there's any coaches out there that got some good drill tape on squeezing and spilling, we rep the heck out of it. But if you've got maybe an unconventional way of doing things, I'd love for you to send it my way, because we really have struggled at times of doing a great job of squeezing that block down and then getting a great spill on anything coming across.
Do you mind if I put your email in the chat?
Yeah, absolutely. Not a problem.
No. What is it?
Just my last name, Runda J at Bluffton.edu.
Runda J at Bluffton.edu. Okay, got it.
And so here would be a look again at the star really making that end right and doing a good job of playing inside out. Because we don't get the spill on this block, he's now got to fit inside of the block that's coming across, which he does. And we end up in pretty good shape there. Same concept here. This guy's an admissions counselor for our school now. He hates that I show this clip. But he was a heck of a football player, man. One of my favorites that I've coached. And he got in right after he graduated. They hired him into our admissions department, and I think he hates that I show this clip. But it's a great job of the run through. Unfortunately, he gets ran through, but he bubbles the football, and he makes the running back take a step back and ends up making a nice play. But this is what you get out of making those reads so simplistic.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see, 75 steps out and 33 is screaming to the A gap. It's his only responsibility.
Absolutely.
Now we just got to – he doesn't have any eligibility left, so we can't make him a better tackler at this point. But and 18's there to clean it up. So
See
good job.
Flip, he just tilts his head back like, oh, that's going to be embarrassing when we watch that on film.
And I can promise you that's exactly what he was thinking, because he knew that coming into the film room, I was going to show this clip about 15 times on rewind.
Well, the good thing was, I mean, you look at the situation on the scoreboard, it says 3rd down, 2 to go. You know, y'all tackle them for a loss, it sets up a field goal.
Correct. And that's who we are. I mean, that's the epitome of who we are defensively, is make teams line up and drive the football field. And so, you know, we're not a big man coverage team, and we don't blitz a ton and put the quarterback, you know, under a ton of pressure. We will at times, but we want to make teams line up and drive the football field. And, you know, we were fortunate. We were one of 6 Division III teams to play this past fall. We got one game in. We're going to finish our season out here in the spring, but in that game we won 28-21, and the 3 touchdowns we gave up were from the 4-yard line, were from the 3-yard line, and was from the 2-yard line.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we ask our guys to buy into the fact of making teams line up, drive the football field. I think that, you know, that's the epitome of it right there. Now, I'd love for all 3 of those to be field goal opportunities rather than touchdowns, obviously, but grinding it out. And that's who we are defensively here as far as, you know, what we do. Looking at, you know, some 11 personnel power stuff. And I think when teams put the tight end on the ball against, you know, the 3 high stuff, we really start to look at this as 4-2-5 run fits. And what I mean by that is in this base power look, and this is how most teams have ran it to us, because we stay with that traditional 5-0-5 up front. And so we're getting blocked down. They're trying to really just wash that end with the tight end, and then they'll pull all the way around it. And so going back off of those reads of the linebackers, when that will gets blocked down here and he comes screaming inside, you know, when I look at this in comparison to our base 4-2-5 stuff, all this will has become is our 3 technique out of our 4-2-5 run fits.
Okay.
The star has become essentially the will spilling the pooler and then fitting that thing just like we normally would, with the boundary safety being, in this instance, the force or tackle player for us. And then the other rule I didn't mention, if our guard gets pull, or if we get pull from our guard at that box linebacker spot, then that guy just becomes a shuffle cutback. He's looking for anything that winds back from the running back. So there's a couple of decent clips of some power stuff on here. But in looking at it this way against 11 personnel has really helped us in being able to mesh this stuff up with our 4-2-5 stuff, because he's become the 2-eye. He's become the 3, right? You've already got a 5 backside. The only thing that would change out of our 4-2-5 stuff, we'd either be in a 6 here, playing a heavy 6, or could be in a 9 technique. But conceptually, a lot of the same stuff. And so here's one where the Y's off, but you're going to get the same concept. So getting that power.
Yep. I'm still blocking down.
Yep. And trying to wrap that guy all the way around. We play in a copycat conference. So, there was a team earlier in the season that had ran a similar play with the tight end on the ball, blocked it this way. These guys really liked it. And those two schools, a lot of times you get some of the same stuff as far as what they're trying to do. But
okay.
Decent look. I don't love the will here, and I'll tell you why. I want that guy to play hard off of this block, and so I would like for him to be inside of 71, because I want 71 to have to block him to take him out of the picture, because they're going to wash down here. We'll let the star spill and let that boundary safety fold in, whereas in this picture, it looks like the linebacker's playing cloudy clear rules. But I would rather him be right inside of this guy right here, burying the shoulder pad, and let's go layer off and fit here.
Yeah.
But we still we're in great position here as far as what we're getting from the look. So look at, base power. Here's another one where our will ends up making a nice play. go from formation into the boundary. We end up getting adjusted, get another power look. We see a ton of crack, especially fitting that safety, whether it's here or the boundary, of getting that guy involved in the run fit as much as we do. We get a bunch of crack blocks by one.
Now, are you going to talk about your base coverages whenever we get to that point?
Yeah, we can talk through some of
Okay.
through some of the rules.
I want to ask some questions, and then you say, well, we're going to get to that in a minute. So
so when you're looking at, I guess, structurally what we're doing coverage wise for us, we play in triangle concept. So in this picture here, that Sam playing coverage with the corner and the safety to his side.
Mm-hmm.
Our safeties call all of our coverages unless the coverage call comes from the sideline.
Okay.
And so we're either playing cover two, and when we play our cover two, we play it like a Palms read two coverage. Everybody's reading off of the number two receiver, or he can call a cover four call and just put us in cover four to this side, where with the corner in that instance, he's really playing man-to-man on one unless he gets anything underneath away from him right now. And so those are really the two bases that we play out of. If we get the tight end look like we got here into the boundary, it's going to be a quarters coverage call now with the boundary safety, corner, and the will linebacker. And then we always make our mic, and what we do, our mic is typically a 3-drop for us with push rules really to either side, depending on where number 3 releases to. And then with that star, we try and keep his coverage rules. We do some different stuff with him. If we're not putting him into the coverage and truly running like some drop 8 coverage stuff, then we use him as a game planner. And so if we get teams that are running a ton of mesh, or they're an under dig team, and we like our matchup better on, this guy taking away the crossing route so that we can play the linebacker heavy, to the dig route inside. Right. Then we'll just tell him, hey, this game, you're going to be a crosser eliminator. You're taking any crosser in the ball game.
Right.
And so we do that so that we don't have to change all of our coverage rules for everybody else when we're really only adding one different guy into what we're doing. And so if we were just a 3-high team, we would probably be maybe a little more creative with what we do with that guy. Okay. But from a simplicity standpoint, going back to what I was saying earlier, using him really as a game plan guy and being able to take some different stuff away. If they're a big post team, right, we'll take him and we'll essentially treat it like Tampa 2, run him down the alley and give some help to our safeties. So we can do some different stuff with him. We can sit him. We can spy the quarterback with him. We can add him on. And doing all of that stuff, nothing changes for anybody else on the football field. It is one of the nice parts about being able to do that. It essentially just becomes a tag call for this guy here. So let's go to some 20 personnel stuff, which I know you had asked about. Was this what you had in mind, just kind of some of the split back stuff out of the trio deal?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So we have seen a little bit of 2-back. We don't get a ton of it. But to me, when we're getting this, the true split 2-back stuff, we're going to treat one of those guys essentially like the tight end. So it really becomes same concept, same rules as if that guy was here like he was out of the 11 personnel deal. And so this picture is a little bit different because now you're getting the split action and it's coming back across to the boundary side. And so this is a play that I think I got here on the first clip that we're getting just some split action from the backfield. So we would still be to 2-back. We treat it the same way as we do 11 personnel in the sense of being 5-0-5 up front, still remaining in that 32 box, 30 and up our linebackers with the Mike and the Will, and those guys playing the same rules, reading off of their guards, And so in this picture here, now the star knows that he's going to have to fit A to B gap and really fitting off of the mic. And so this goes back to, all right, well, if they step here first, right, what's the difference? Well, now the mic's going to go out. And so that star is going to, his true gap fit would really become now the A gap fit.
Okay.
Fitting that spill here by the end off of the cross block here by the back, we would fit that there with a boundary safety now. Same concept. Here into the boundary, we're playing a quarters concept coverage. We could be cover 2 here to the field, or we could be cover 4, depending on alignment of the safety and his comfort to being able to help vertical push by number 1 is really how we get to our base coverage stuff. So here's some true 2-back.
Okay.
And now in this instance here, they arc and they leave the end to go ahead and just read him. And so our end in this picture here is going to become really the quarterback player, and he does a decent job of tracking the inside hip of the quarterback and making that guy bounce this thing all the way to the outside. They're arcing for that boundary safety again, accounting for him to be into the fit here. And so he's got to go force this thing right now. You got to be a little more aggressive than what he's being here on that back, especially in the open field. Because if he goes and presses this guy right now, that's going to force the quarterback. If this guy sticks his foot back in the ground, then 17 should be right there to go ahead and be able to make the play off of it. Just a little hesitation here. And this kid was starting due to an injury. We had actually moved our boundary safety over to our field safety side, and so he was getting his first collegiate start in this game. But would like for him to go ahead and go force that thing right now. We still get the ball strung out to the sideline. It's not a bad picture, but it can always be better when it's in our eyes, and it's easy to say, right, when you got it on tape and you can click rewind.
Of course. We always know how to make it perfect when it's on the tape.
That's right. No doubt. That and the board.
Yeah.
So good picture. I mean, we're gapped out up front. We get everything we want. You can see the star climbing. And so he's right because he's fitting to the front side of the zone in this instance. And so his natural fit here is going to end up being really the B gap of where he needs to get to. So Will does a decent job of getting himself inside 71, inside the tackle here.
Right.
Off of that down step. Better job here of squeezing this guy down and playing flat by the end. Just got to get a better force and we end up in pretty good shape. So here's a little lead play that we end up getting out of this deal where they went 2-back and they were leading him up, bringing him across.
A little stretch outside zone look.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so in this picture, same thing. If you were to go and draw it up on the board, then that boundary safety's got to go be the force player right now and allow that star in this instance to go ahead and run the alley on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
If we force here, right, outside here, then I should be able to run this down over the top and still be a free player playing everything inside out from that star position. I think they climb. Yeah, and so this has got to become really they just got to switch responsibilities because they cracked here. The corner's got to come. Now he's got to go force the back, and the star should still be over the top and free. In a whirl. It's a good run through here by 10. He makes this play go here. So 51 steps out. He's trying to get and work to the 5 technique. That's fine. We've got to go tight off his hip now at that will position. And so he actually ends up forcing this football. It's a nice run through there by 10.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then 19, the Mike, knowing that he's got to play off of the guard who's zoning this way, knowing he's got to get himself inside of this tackle here.
Who is this you're playing right here?
This is Franklin College.
Okay.
And so Franklin's in Indiana. They've played a high level of football for a long time. They were the best team in our conference for many years. And so that team that's in the red jerseys that has been on here as well is Hanover College. And so Hanover has gotten, in some of this transition stuff, has gotten a decent amount of coaches from Franklin. And so they've started to become, one of the top dogs in our conference now. But really well-coached football team, Franklin.
I guess that guy thinks he's Baker Mayfield. He looks like he's trying to be Baker Mayfield. Wearing the number 6.
That's right. Hey, I'd be trying to be Baker Mayfield as well.
Yeah.
Well, all them Browns fans, man, we're in Ohio country over here. They are fired up for tonight. I love when the Browns play because it's the best Twitter entertainment
really
that you can get.
A lot of people's brackets got busted with the Seahawks and the Titans losing the past 2 days, so busted a lot of brackets, I guess.
We're a Washington football team house and a Baltimore Ravens house.
Well, at least you got one out of the two.
That's true. Yeah, I thought Washington was going to pull it out last night. It was that quarterback was playing out of his mind.
He really was. It was tremendous to watch the kid play.
God dang. And he was signed in like the beginning of December, which is just crazy. So here's some two back again. Good spill here by the end. Getting guard pull, spilling there. This one happens because the end ends up blowing it up.
Yeah. It does a good job just kind of sitting there, making him look like he's going to, he makes him give the ball instead of pull it, and then he's able to side shuffle down and make the play.
Yeah, he's played for us since his freshman year. He'll be a junior and came in high school was really a linebacker and running back, oversized. Man, I mean, he ran the football hard. I wouldn't want to try to tackle him. But converted to D-line and has started for us, I believe, every single game of his career. He's been a nice football player. And so looking at where are we at? There we go. Some 12 personnel stuff, and this is where we get into really what it looks like, some 4-man alignments or 4-down alignments, depending on the alignment of the number 2 receiver. And so anytime we get 12 personnel stuff, we still stay in the 5-0-5, but based on the Sam linebacker and the number 2 receiver of the offense. So in this picture here, 1-2 strong being the tight end on the ball, then we're going to walk that Sam down into a true 9 technique.
Okay.
And he's going to play hands on the tight end. So we'll be 9-5-0-5 up front. We're still 30'd up at the linebacker spot. Same reads for the star, reading the triangle. And then now we're really accounting both safeties in the box now, reading off of number 2. And so in this picture here, you're going to get really just straight cover 4 from us. So if the tight end blocks, we know that we can account for that safety getting himself down into the box, whether it be a cutback player or a force defender. And the other thing that we do with our cover 4 stuff is those guys can lock onto the number 2 receiver. And so, if we're getting, this look here, then we'll just say, hey, let's lock it up right on the backside. And so you've got eyes to him, and rather than trying to make, the will push and be able to get himself into coverage on this deal, hey, go be aggressive in the run fit. We're going to go ahead and lock up on number 2. So if we get the out route here, we don't need the boundary safety in the fit anyways. He'll go ahead and take care of the flat route. Mm-hmm. And so all base rules here would be like, your base inside zone stuff, whether they're reading it, releasing this guy for the RPO, but just your true base fits in this picture here. Again, now the star would be playing off of the mic to the front side of this deal. Okay. So in this picture here, we've got the guard stepping out with his first step. So the mic's going to play heavy to the A. That's going to allow the star to play inside out, his true gap fit being that B gap now to the front side. And so here's one of those concepts where coverage-wise, we went ahead and made a lock call to the boundary. Boundary safety does a nice job. He's got the flat. We're over top of the post here with the corner, knowing really he's man on one. Again, creating good penetration. 33 doesn't get ran over this time, which is good. Ends up making a nice play. And so reading off of 76 here, knowing he's got to get inside of 58 and really preaching to those guys, trying to get as tight to that to their guard's hip as they can, playing tight off of that hip and trying to avoid a little dip drill. To the front side here, the Mike sees step down first, and so the star's going to end up being an adjuster off of this. But nice play by 33. We got a lot of penetration, and we play those linebackers. I don't know if I said it earlier. We play those guys at heel depth 4.5 yards. So I mean, as soon as the ball snapped and they're reading tight off of that guard, they really, in like zone stuff, they become an extension of the defensive line because they come, screaming downhill so quick, and you're getting them into their gap so fast. It almost turns into a 5-man front from the jump.
We just had a question from Coach Hayden Thomas. He said, "How's your corner playing a post from number 1?"
Yep. And so first off, Hayden, how's it going, man? Appreciate you getting on the call. Hey, me and Hayden have worked together a couple of times.
I got you.
And he does a nice job over at Wilmington College. He's going to be calling the offense this year.
So he's trying to find out your secrets.
It's something like that. So post, as far as playing it from the corner, we stay over the top on everything. We try and keep those guys in a scooch as long as we can. And a lot of times we're playing an outside technique with the corner. But staying over top of the post. And when we go to play the football, and this came from our defensive backs coach, we've really started to play everything from playing it from the backside. And so rather than trying to come underneath, and rob across the front side face and play with that, inside hand on a guy and wrapping your backside arm, we've really wrapped with the front side arm and tried to pull and take away the backside arm of the receiver. Trying to make that guy go ahead and catch the football with one hand. And so one more clip of that 2 tight end.
Uh-huh.
And this one's a good one where you'll see the star now fitting right to the B gap to the front side. Ends up in pretty good shape. And so this would be a picture here too where because that tight end now is blocking and he's blocking down on the 5, right? Okay. Any boot action or anything like that, like you're getting boot here, should be taken away really by the boundary safety as far as being that extra defender, taking away anything that would cut back and then climbing to anything that would boot from that quarterback. But good job here by 18 tracking. And you see, I mean, the B gap comes wide open, fits straight to it, and he ends up in pretty good shape.
I think what would be what we can do, since we're coming up on an hour, Coach, is maybe sometime this week we sit down and we do a separate one on coverages. What do you think?
Yeah, that would work, and talk some different 3x1 stuff. Some of our drop 8 coverage stuff would be good as well. Sorry, I got long-winded on you.
No, it's fine. It's fine. What I'm thinking of as we're going through this is, I can cut these up into smaller segments and make smaller videos as well, so that when they're looking for the 10 personnel and 11 personnel and 20 and 12, which, kudos to Banstra. I know he's not watching, but kudos to Banstra for, suggesting that. So, but, keep going. If you got any more run fits, be my guest.
Okay. Let me, let's get to I was getting towards the end, I believe. And so looking at some gap scheme out of that 12 personnel, 2 tight end sets. And so still really fitting everything the same way, but now you're starting to get some pull. And so in these pictures here, a lot of times we're going to have to spill fit with that star. And so that guy's got to have a willingness to go ahead and take on some blockers, take on a pulling guard. And so when you're looking at it from this picture here, right, the will is going to be off of the down block here from the guard, screaming in, really becoming, an extension of the 3 technique, hopefully getting himself, and this is where it becomes important, he's got to get himself inside of the down block by the tackle, and so that the star can continue to overlap this thing, fit himself inside the puller, with the boundary safety being that force player and tackler for us. And with this, if we were getting the kick out here, this wouldn't necessarily be a true spill from our end. This would be what we would call a cork, but he wants to stay on the outside of this block, be the true force defender, and get that ball hopefully to what would be our free player here in the boundary safety. And so this is a look at it. I think it's a better look from the tight. So the star should see the guard pull again with him reading the triangle and seeing this thing really like a linebacker. He should be good to see the guard pull. This instance he does. What can happen a lot of times with that will screaming in here like this, now he gets blown up by the tackle in this one, which can't be scared going in there. A lot of times what can happen, though, is you end up getting 2 for 1, and what will normally happen is that guard will scream down, he'll come off the hip, and if he beats the tackle, he'll end up picking up the puller. So we got a 2 on this one.
Who'd you say, Will?
The will, just by screaming, playing so tight off the hip of the guard, a lot of times what will happen is he won't get picked up by anybody, and he'll end up spilling that pulling guard. In this picture, the tackle takes out his own guy. And so we end up with 2 for 1 in this pitch. But good read by the star on it, seeing the pull, playing 2. And had that puller not gotten picked off, right, and he kept coming around, we would fit that with the star inside with the spill, and then feeding the boundary safety in here to become that force tackle player. Again, with number 2 being on the ball for the Sam, we've walked him down, staying in that 5-0-5 front.
Okay.
Getting a decent look. I think this is another one, same look. Now they're just running really like an ISO insert here. And so same concept. Here the will ends up taking the ISO block, but he doesn't necessarily need to, because if he doesn't, then the insert should be spilled really by the star, with the boundary safety still being that free player for us.
Okay.
But this, more times than not, is what happens is the will ends up being the spill, and you get really 2 for 1 on the ball carrier trying to squeeze that thing down.
Coach, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat.
There's a crack block again with the safety. Try and teach with our corners as far as crack block goes. We don't want to replace until there's contact on the crack. And so once he cracks, and now we know we're not going to get a crack and go, anything like that. Once the receiver makes contact to the crack block, now we can go ahead and replace to the hip. And so you can see 33 by playing tight off the hip of the guard. The tight end goes ahead and already tries to block him, which is great. Now we get really essentially 2 for 1 in this deal.
Do y'all play many spread option teams with, speed option? Not necessarily like gun triple, but do y'all see much option?
No, really the only form of option that we truly see is the RPO stuff.
Okay.
And that's how, I mean, in my eyes, right, all the RPO is the modern day triple option a lot of times.
Exactly what it is.
You got a dive option, right? Quarterback can keep it, or the pitches become the pass.
Yes.
And so I think I've only got one clip on here. We don't see true pro formations very often. But if we were to get true pro, this would be really our base alignment to it. Again, with the tight end being on the ball and being that number 2 to the Sam side, he's going to be in a 9-5-0-5 up front, still 30 up at the linebacker spot, and still playing quarters concept from the coverage standpoint of it. And so I think the clip that I have, we actually, and this has been a lot of times an adjustment for us, is we walk down into, we call it our bear front, call it an eagle, whatever you want to call it. But we walk that star down, and he becomes an edge player for us, and we really play, a true 5-2 concept where we're playing 9 techniques with our stand-ups. Rather than 3s, we still play 4 eyes. I think our best friend as defensive coaches, a lot of times your best friends are those offensive guys. And so when I talk with our offensive line coach, he says all day long he would rather block a 3 technique than block a 4 eye, and just trying to change angles for those guys up front. And so rather than bumping them down to a 3 technique, they're already used to playing 4 eyes, so we keep them in 4 eyes. But a lot of times when we get this pro, especially down in the red zone, it'll move us into a bear front.
Boom.
This looks like 1990 football.
Yeah, it does.
So, again, it's an easy for us. It's an easy concept because all we've done, right, is that star that's normally here. We walked him down. We put him in a 9, or in this instance in a 5, but we put him as the end man on the line of scrimmage. Our Sam is already used to playing a 9 technique walk down, and up front we're used to playing 4 eye 0, 4 eye for those guys. So we're not changing the responsibility of everybody on the football field, but we're giving a completely different front. We're giving a completely different look, to the offense.
Okay.
That play right there will hopefully make some coaches happy out there.
Sure.
True 2 back. So some who is it? Coach Driscoll that's with Army. I know he loves himself some fullback play. I've never met him, but I follow him on Twitter.
Yeah,
and I know he loves some fullbacks. And then this was just one I threw on here. I don't have any film to it, but I had a coach reach out earlier this week, and he was asking, what would your alignments to the flex bone be?
Okay.
And some of this stuff. And so I just threw this on here if anybody would have any interest on it. But to me, I like the picture that you get out out of this 3 high stuff to the flex bone. Just for us, we would go 4I 0 4I, same concept. Take away the A's and the B gaps with really that middle triangle.
Okay.
And then if we get the dive action this way, right, with this option this way, we would fit that Sam inside of the tight end. We would overlap the star, let him play quarterback to pitch, and then we would let our safety really run the alley and become the true pitch man. For me, anytime I've heard it, and you talk about defending this stuff, you're always trying to be a man and a half per person. So you've got a man and a half for the dive, you've got a man and a half for the quarterback, and you got a man and a half for the pitch. And so forcing the football to the outside, again, take the read of the quarterback in some of this stuff, but taking the football and forcing it to the edge, same concept. If you get it this way, right, boom, he's off of it, squeezing the B gap, inside fit, stars inside out, and then you got a true pitch man with the boundary safety off of it, or you want to get the corner involved in the run fit as a change up and play the boundary safety over the top. But just a little bit of a different look. We don't line up to this on we haven't had to yet, but I do think that out of the 3 high stuff, just looking at it from a structure standpoint, I mean, you're as sound and you're as even really to this formation as you can get out of the 3 high deal.
Yeah, I like it. It can't get much simpler than that. With some teams are still running it, some teams are not. But if you ever get to that point, at least somebody has a plan for you.
That's right. That is right. And so that was I just put some general information on there. If anybody wants to reach out, that's my school email, cell phone number, and feel free, shoot me a text, give me a call, and then my Twitter handle as well. Try and post content on there, but have had and been able to follow a bunch of good football coaches that are putting out, like I said earlier, a bunch of really good football content.
Absolutely. Well, Coach Runda, I appreciate it. DC at Bluffton University. Make sure you go follow him on Twitter. There's his cell phone number. If you email him if you got any questions, and make sure to hit that subscribe button before you log off. And thank all of you for watching today. And hopefully we will, have a lot more followers, both of us, after this.
No doubt. I'm trying to get the blue check mark status, man. I don't know about you.
Shoot, got to get about 10,000 followers. But yeah, I'm trying to get there.
Just keep following who follows you.
That's right. Well, Coach, I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much. And let me end this live broadcast.
Yep.